hello, hello. Good night, everybody. It's Thursday.
We live. We is live.
We are here. It is Thursday.
There.
We are here. I don't know why I'm so mellow. We are here. We are live. It is another amazing day. It is another amazing Thursday. We have so much to talk about. This topic, I think, will be a very interesting one. But before we go into it, we'll do the usual. How's your week been? How was your weekend?
Well, the weekend's about to be lit. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it'll be lit. I don't know it's gonna be lit, but the weekend's starting. You know what I'm saying? After this show, that's when the weekend starts for me. Okay, Friday.
That part.
You know
That
what I'm
part.
saying? So this is like the pregame before the game. But the week has been good. Work is great. You know what I'm saying? Work is really good. Good there. Kids
I
good.
love that.
Life is good. Kids about to be at school next week. So they're about to sleep in, have enjoyed their summer. So as of right now, life is good.
Are you guys going anywhere as a family in the summer?
Yes, but not sure yet. Usually we do like a family trip with another family, but they're
Okay.
taking a fix, so we don't already have nothing planned. So we're gonna do something. We're gonna do something for sure, but not sure what yet. But we're doing something.
I love that. I love that. I used to do, oh, I mean, I still do a mother daughter trip with my daughter, and she's 23. We pick a place to go every year. And, mom pays. So she's
Mm.
going to keep doing that until the wheel falls off. Because mommy pays. So why not? I love those. Enjoy those moments. I always said I would enjoy them until she stopped wanting to go on trips with me. They're beautiful moments to have with our children before they go out and go and live their life. So if you have children and you have the opportunity and are blessed to be able to take them on a trip, whether it's once a year, once every other year, even if you just have a like rent a hotel in the city, it doesn't have to be super expensive. Twins and I are, I think, are blessed enough that we can take our kids, out of the country and out of the city or town we're from. But if you don't have that, find a way to rent a cottage or something. Because think about it, you only really have 18 summers. I mean, technically, kind of 17 summers with your kids before they go out into the world. And watching my niece graduate from Howard this last weekend was amazing to watch because my niece is the second grandchild born to my father. My daughter is the first, and so they're all first generation because me and my sisters were all born in Jamaica. So watching, first generation, right, first generation um, graduate, and then I have not never experienced an HBCU, so it was beautiful to see thousands upon thousands of Black students graduating, and they made history being the largest graduating class in the history of Howard, which is 150 years old. So it was beautiful to just be a part of that and really made me, think about family and how important this is and, how your legacy is so important and nurture those moments that you have because they grow up and they go off and go live their life. So I'm a little melancholy maybe about that. So, but my week has been good. It's been busy. Work has been busy. Life has been busy. I'm going into a really busy weekend. It's a really busy time at my job. In 2 weeks, we have our yearly award show. As I stated before, I work for the Academy here, which is the equivalent of the Academy in LA. And so we have our own Oscars and Emmys combined over a 3-day weekend, 5 shows in
Oh,
3 days.
wow. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I work about 16-hour days for about 4 or 5 of those days, and I work like 14 days straight. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I'm gonna work. Yeah, maybe it's not. Yeah, no, I'm gonna work 13 days straight. And a couple of those are gonna be like 16-hour days, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it to be able to pull off what we do, and to see my name roll in credits at the end of that is amazing because I manage the entire partnerships department. So it is amazing feat, but it does make me just really tired. I'm already ready take a nap, but we keep on pushing. Anywho, thank you for those of us who are joining. We are going to get in there. Like Twin said, like, share, subscribe as you're coming in here. Please like. We are again here to change the conversation around Black relationships. And I think this topic is an interesting one. It is, yes, we're all about the love here. We are all about love and finding people love. It's two people who have been married and know what that's like. And I can speak for twins because I've already asked them this question. I think two people would like to get married again and do it forever. This time, Black relationships, because that's all we both date are melanin brothers and sisters, right? Black relationships are fundamentally important to creating legacy, as I just talked about with the children, right? Making sure that we nurture those and keep those. However, there are people who would argue that twins and I are not qualified to talk
What?
about relationships. I know,
I qualify.
because we are unmarried. So there is a sentiment among the internet that single, and I'm putting those in brackets for a reason, that single people are not qualified to speak on relationships. Twins, what are your thoughts about those
This comes up all the time. So yes, do single people could speak on people get into relationships or marriages? It's a yes and no, right? So it kind of goes back to the same thing with people who don't have kids, trying to tell somebody who has kids how to raise their kids, but they never had kids in their whole life. Like you can't count. Oh, I'm an auntie, or I'm no. See, being an auntie and being a step this not the same of actually being a parent. It's something that's a little different.
things? It
Yes,
is different.
it is different because they're yours. You know what I'm saying? They came from you, out of you, or out of us to make a little mini person. So we have a different type of attachment to those kids. But not to say, but some people who do step in a role and help kids, they do some type of little bit, but it ain't the same. So back on a relationship. Yeah, I find it very hard that people who never been married are quick to tell people who are married what they should do or they wouldn't allow in a relationship, but they've never been married. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So it's the people who never been married that I believe doesn't have a dog in the fight. Their opinion does matter to a certain extent, but it doesn't hold much weight because you didn't sign up for that commitment of I do. And if you haven't been through the process of divorce, then you really can't speak on it. But
Mm,
I'll land my plan right there. My plane there.
mm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there is a difference between being single and never married and unmarried. So right now we are both unmarried, divorced people, right? But single, never been married, and giving advice about how to keep a relationship going. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry. Like, shut your mouth. Because what are we like? What are we really like? I agree with that part. What are we talking about? If you're a woman who's single, never been married, sitting around giving people like relationship advice, I wouldn't even go. I would never tell my husband that we should go to a therapist unless I find out that that therapist has been married. She can be divorced, but I would never take advice from a never been married therapist about my relationship with my husband. Like, girl, get out of here. That I'm not going to do. Or guy, get out of here. Either one of you, get out of here because I'm not take that. But I do think people who have experienced relationships, and even if they're not currently in a relationship, but you have the experience with the relationship, and there is even some caveat to what I just said. Because there are people who have been in long term relationships who've lived together, so they've had cohabitation, but they've never legally gotten married. So there's also the caveat to that. If I'm speaking to someone and they say, you know what, I was in a 9 year relationship and I lived with this person and this person was basically my husband or well, I'm gonna take some advice from you. But you've never been married, you've never attempted to be married, you've never been proposed to, you've never proposed to anybody, you've never done anything, and you want to give me advice about how to keep longevity in my relationship, I'm gonna actually look at you sideways
Okay.
because where are you drawing this experience from? Because I think one is, and sorry to cut you, one of the things that we both have on our side is when we have this conversation, especially you, because quite frankly, I was legally married for a long time, but I wasn't physically in the home with my husband for that long time, right? So legally, I was actually counting it. So I got married in 2008, and I legally did not get divorced until 2022. So legally, I was married for as long as you technically were, but legally married for 14 and a half years, but I was only actually with my husband for like 2 years. Um, but the legality of trying to get out of a marriage when you're in it, Lord have his mercy, it's not as simple as some people think it is. Oh, you just get divorced. Try again, right? It's not that simple.
And that right there, the last part that you said there, that getting out of it was not as easy as you think it is. Even though you weren't physically in the same location with yours for all those years, to get out of it still took an arm and leg and all this hoops you to jump through to get through that. So that's like the main difference between someone who lived with a partner for all them years versus one who's actually legally married. Because you can be with somebody all these years and then y'all break.
Yep.
You take your shit, you go, you get out,
Super.
whatever, and y'all can move on, whatever. But when you're in that relationship, to break that contract, I'm sorry, I mean to break all that
It is a contract. It's a covenant of marriage, which is a contract.
oh no, and it's I said it on purpose, you know what I'm saying? The people think
So
it's
they got it. Like it's a covenant. It's a contract. I was in a contract.
it's a contract. Getting out of that is different. So with that being said, you're gonna do a lot more in the relationship to either make it work because getting out of it is gonna be pulling teeth. So I'll give you some credit if you live with your partner for X amount of time. Because yes, I mean, of course, we do have common law marriage, right? We have,
Yep, we do have it here. Yep.
but at the end of the day, if y'all both are adults and want to be done, y'all can split y'all separate ways, and whatever you have, or she has, and that's it, and keep moving. You don't got to ever see each other or talk to each other again. But when you're married, though, you gotta go through the hoops. Even being divorced, you still gotta like. Even me being divorced, I still got like because I was married to my partner for so long. My wife, I don't say partner because I'm like, no, my wife. Yeah, right. When my wife so long is that, even when I do stuff like Home Depot, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes her name is on some stuff because when you're in a relationship, fellas know we kind of lazy. Our lady calls and does everything. So normally her number's down for everything. So I still, even though I'm divorced now, I'm still got to go through and like, hey, hold on, what email you have on file there? Oh, what number do you have? Oh, no. Here's my number. That's my wife. Don't call her because you don't want. She don't even know my business when I'm buying something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're calling me. Who's calling you? Oh, so you getting something new? That ain't none of your business. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's a whole nother legality there I'm talking about. The point is you're still constantly detaching from each other, even when you separate, even when you divorce. But when it comes to speaking to relationship, once again, Samantha, we're talking about the single people, I give you some credit, but I can't let you walk away and like, oh yeah, no, if I was married, I wouldn't do this. What do you mean? What does it look like? Oh, I just wouldn't allow it. I mean, it sounds good from the outside looking in, what you would do, but when you're in the nick of it, it's totally different. It's a different type of fight. It's definitely a fight. Getting into it, get out of it, it's not as easy. You just can't get up and go.
And that's the part for me, I think, which is interesting. So this topic was actually prompted, and I was originally gonna play the clip, but it's ridiculous, so I didn't bother. I was trying to edit it down, and I said, forget it. Like our intelligence level is just way too high above. But it was from a single show. So it was someone was a guest on a single show,
Let's
and
see. Oh,
basically
it's definitely froze.
challenge.
Okay.
Oh, I can see you. You're here. Oh, you are we still here? Can you guys see? He's frozen. Am I frozen? Am I good? I don't know. Hey Jeff. Hey Jack. I see you guys. Good evening, everyone. Jeff, you're actually the
It could
perfect
have been that.
person to discuss this as twins gets it together. Oh, I think we can. Twins, you here?
I'm here. You would have
Ah, there we go.
it wouldn't
Really? Because you were frozen on my end, and I was like talking.
Yeah, you was frozen
I
my
was,
side too.
oh, that is crazy. I have no idea why that happened. But Jeff, we would love to hear from you on this topic. As usual, the link is above for you to jump on the show. Jeff, I know you just jumped in. We're talking about whether, the idea of people who are single being qualified to discuss relationships. And Twins and I both agree that us being divorced and having been in relationships and having had a commitment like marriage and not telling twins' business, but I'm currently in a relationship and I started this show in a relationship. That despite the fact that I'm currently unmarried, having had the experience of being married and in long-term committed relationships, especially a marriage that it took me forever to get out of, I think based on those life experiences, I am qualified to speak on relationships. But there are some people who would argue that twins and I are not qualified to talk about relationships because we should be in one, as in married, in order to talk about relationships. And I wholeheartedly disagree. I think we can talk about them, but Jeff, I know that you counsel people getting into married, and this is your second marriage. So if you'd love to jump on, if you have the ability to jump on, I definitely would love to hear what you have to say. But Jack, I see you in the building. Jack is back. Jack said, now that paper is legally recognized contract. That's proof said couple are in a marital business agreement for the and is recognized and will be enforced in all 50 states and U.S. territories. I mean, he wrong. I grew up in Canada and I got married in the United States of America called Las Vegas, and I still had to battle in here to get a divorce from a man I married there. So don't you worry, like it is a thing. Um, Jeff, he says the difference is that you both have been married. So in my opinion, you're qualified. I'm gonna link that up here. Now, Jeff, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. So yes, twins and I have both been married. So we've both been married for people who are new, not to each other, but we have both been married, twins legally and living with his partner for over 14 years, me legally for 14 years, but not actually living with my partner the entirety of that time. But there's still people who would say, no, you guys are single, and so like, what do you guys know? And and I love the fact that Jeff, again, who counsels married people, feels like we're qualified. Jeff also said, I'm going to actually put what Jack says. Jack said, single people can speak on the limits of their life experiences, but if never married, they have nothing to draw from to compare, contrast, or debate. Absolutely agree.
Totally
Absolutely agree.
agreed.
Absolutely agree. And so this is why it's difficult for me when I see some of the other shows and some of the other people speaking and some of their very strong opinions on something they don't have any idea about because I'm not going to pretend to know twins' experience as a married man. I don't because yes, I was legally on paper married for 14 and a half years actually. I got married in May of 2008 and I actually got legally divorced in November of 2022. But Twins lived with his wife and they had kids together and that. I lived with my husband only for a little bit over a year before we separated, and I went through the long process of trying to legally get divorced from him. So yes, we've been married, but even our marriage experiences are different. So we're long, where twins can speak on the longevity of putting in the work to make it work and the ups and downs. I can talk about the experience of being married and, the trauma of wanting to separate from that marriage and what I dealt with in this marriage, but I'm never going to pretend that my marriage experience is different. So when someone says, hey, let's talk about, what does it really take to marriage work? I'm going to pass it over to Twin because I left my husband.
Yeah, you cut out on my end. Not sure what happened. What's the last thing you said before you said cut?
I said, no, I said one of the things is even though we are both married and legally married for almost the same amount of time, my experience in my legal marriage is very different than your experience in your legal marriage. So if people ask about, how to keep a marriage going for a long time, I wouldn't answer that question. I would pass it over to you because again, my marriage was on paper for 14 and a half years. Yours was in actuality like having kids, raising a family, and doing what you needed to do to fight to keep that relationship together. And mine wasn't. I left my husband after the third baby he had out of wedlock. But I digress. Jeff, you are in the building. Oh, give me 1 second, Jeff. Let me bring you to the stage. Why isn't it allowing me? Jeff, for some reason, it is not allowing me. Can you get out and come back in? It's not allowing me to bring you to the stage for whatever reason. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try again.
Don't kick him out
Um,
already.
no, I'm not. I'm not even kicking him out. It gives me two options: to kick him from the studio or edit his name, or three, or ban him. Jeff, can you come get out and come back in and see what happens? Because I have no idea why it's doing that. Let's try again and see if he comes back in, if that happens. Because I do really want to hear. Because for me, even right now, when I think about getting married again, I want to go to people who are like you, twins. Like, if I were to think about getting married again and I wanted advice about the longevity of marriage, I would go to people like you. I would go to my best friend who's going on, I think, 11 years now, um, being married, right? Like, I would go to her parents that have been married, I want to say for like 40 years. Like, I'm going to go to people who have been in long marriages. I wouldn't say that people should. I don't know what's going on. Jeff, I'm gonna try putting the link in the chat again. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try putting the link in the chat again because I don't know why that link, because it's the same link that Twins comes in on. I don't know why that link is not working. So give me a second and I'm gonna try putting it back into the chat. I'm not the only person who was having problems with StreamYard. So I'm going to try to see if I go in and put it in the chat myself right now, if it will work. I'm going to go in on my other channel and try to watch this show. You'll see Toshiba Billings pop up. Let me know, guys, if I link this, if you can see. So I just threw it in there. You're gonna see me pop up in a second. I should. The link should be there, and then hopefully click on that link and see if it gets you into the show. Do you even see my comment? Is it there?
I just see the original link that was pinned to the,
Oh,
pinned.
really?
Yeah, but I don't. I just don't
Let
see.
me
I just see
let
Jack's
me try.
message.
Let me try again. I literally just got into the chat. I just got into the chat. Oh my God, it's doing it again. Hold on. I'm gonna send my message again and pray, and then I can actually pin my message on here and see if that works because I don't know what's going on. Or I'm gonna have to go in. Jeff, we are going to get you in here. Technical difficulties, technical difficulties. I'll figure it out. But twins talk about, like, when you think about marriage again, if you were to go and get advice, despite the fact that you've been married for as long as you were, if you were to think about getting advice about marriage again, where would you go? Like, where would you go to get that advice?
I as of right now, I will go to someone who's currently married right now, right? Who's still currently married, because as far as someone who's divorced already, I got myself from my experience. I don't need to talk to someone about,
That's correct.
what is marriage like, what I'm saying? Because I'm in the same boat as them. But I will go to someone who's been in a relationship, or I'm sorry, who's currently in a relationship right now. And preferably someone who's been married over 10 plus years. Because
I like that.
I need someone who's gonna give me the real deal. Not that someone, oh, marriage is great. Marriage is yeah, you just work hard at it, and yeah, everything's gonna be peachy cream. No. I need the real. I need the people who've been together for
The
20
real.
years. Like there'll be some times you're gonna hate each other. You're gonna go to your corner, I'm gonna go to my corner, and then we'll come back and revenge to the conversation. There's gonna be ups and downs. Yes. There's people like, yeah, some people like, we even separated. Not legally, we took a break from each other.
Some type of hurt. Yeah.
Get back and we rocking stronger than we did before, but definitely the OGs, because and the people I speak to, they give me the real. I don't need the candy coat bubble bullshit. No, I need the real. What did I need to do in this situation? X, Y, Z. I like speaking also to the pastors who've been married for a longevity time, because as pastor men, there's always temptation they don't deal with all the time as well.
That is a good one. I never thought about that one. That is a really good one.
But yeah, I mean, as all men, we all deal with the temptation as being married. Just once you have the ring on your finger, it's like a woman magnet. But being a pastor,
I put my work in that.
right? And especially being a pastor, you think about this. Most churches are more women led. A lot of women in the church. They all want the time with the pastor. They want this and that. So he needs to be more disciplined, not to, step out, do anything crazy. But just on the stage, welcome to the stage, sir.
It worked. Hallelujah. Amen. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Good, how are you?
Good. It's been a while.
I know. I figured you've been busy. We're still here. We rocking every Thursday.
Yeah, still here. Yeah, when I was trying to log into the link, I caught the tail end of Twin saying he liked to speak with Pastor. Me being a preacher myself, which is why I tuned into the show, just kind of get a gaze of how the outside world views marriage and relationship. Because if you go by social media, it's a mess. So, to your question that you asked earlier about the single thing, now if you've never been married, you can't tell me nothing about marriage. But like I said, all three of us have been married and divorced, and this that. So you can have some wisdom to give to people, about the do's and the don'ts. I remember Twin saying earlier about um, people were saying if I was what you would or wouldn't do. Nah, it's like he said, it's a fight. I mean, like I always say, my pastor always said, in order to stay married, you got to want to be married. It's something you got to want. So it's not easy. It's just like, well, the first time he leaves the toilet seat up or she doesn't make the bed up, it's over. Like, nah, it's some things you got to have those tough discussions about and work toward it. So, yeah.
And I've got a question for you, Jeff, because I know you counsel people. If I'm not mistaken, you counsel people who are married, and you also counsel people who want to be married. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What are for the people who are wanting to be married? What are some of the biggest challenges versus the people who you counsel that are married? Their biggest challenges.
The ones who are aspiring or about to get married, the myths and the fairy tales that they hear, that what they think marriage is supposed to be, or what Hollywood have sold them. And like I said, it's not always roses every day.
Mm-hmm.
And to the ones that are married or going through, you got to walk them first biblically through the word of God and how this thing's gonna work. Because if God ain't in the marriage, it ain't gonna work.
Amen.
So y'all have to be rooted in that. I mean, I'm real big on men, not to sound misogynistic, but men being leaders in the relationship and taking that lead role, and women understanding that being submissive is not a dirty word or a dirty phrase.
Amen.
And I tell the husbands as well, is like, you have to give her something to submit to. You just
That
can't
part.
treat her like a doormat and expect, like, okay, when I come through the door, I want my dinner and all this and that, and I treat you like crap. Like, nah, you got to. The scripture says, "Love your wife as Christ loved the church," and we don't always love the church or Christ like he's supposed to. But guess what? He sacrificed and he loves you anyway.
Amen. Look at that. He got some. Got amen.
Right? You pre what and you bring up a good point because I'm going to get to the people who are married in a second, but I'm going to stay here with you for a second. When you talk about the myths and the fairy tales, can you tell me about some of those myths and fairy tales that you hear about that people going into marriage have kind of idealized what they think marriage is supposed to be?
Uh, Again, social media, it's the trips, and okay, if you get married, I mean, kids come into play, and so that's going to take a little bit of time from your spouse because you have to raise a family, you have work, you have sickness, you have money issues, which is a big
Mm,
reason for divorce.
yeah.
Is a lot of times not infidelity, it's mostly financial
Money.
issues.
Yep.
So you have to work those things out, like how we going to go about paying this or taking care of this, or what are we trying to build and how we're going to achieve that goal. So if we have these certain amount of goals, well, what about holding off on having kids until we reach X, Y, and Z? Or if you're more family oriented, hey, I want to have kids, I want to have this big family, we just build from there. So you have to lay these things out on the table. And a lot of times, the ones that aspire to be married or haven't been married yet, they just think once I say I do and we get these rings, everything's just gonna fall into place, and it's not gonna work like that.
Why do you think we're so ill prepared for the realities? Because, like, let's take social media out of it because, you know what, before social media even came in, I think that and I can tell you as a woman, there is a bit of a myth and fairy tale about marriage, right? It's happily ever after, and we find our Prince Charming, and we get down the aisle, and it's gonna be great, right? We watch the fairy tale as children. Why do you think we go into this marriage, this covenant, the like this is the largest, grandest thing we do, and at least for a man to give a woman his last name. Why do you think we're going into it so ill prepared?
Let's see, taking social media out of it, and how a lot of people don't have that example. They didn't see it coming up.
Bingo.
So for me, my parents were married for 33 years before my mom passed. My grandparents were married like 60 plus years, and all my aunts and uncles on my dad's side got 40 plus years in the game. So I saw that.
I love
But
that.
here's a kicker too as well. Even though I had the blueprint and I saw that, it didn't happen all the way in my first marriage either. So you have to,
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
say, take bits and pieces of what you see. Like a lot of people think, well, marriage is all roses, whatever. And you see that old couple that been married 50, 60 years and they brag on each other, they talk crazy to each other. That's love. You know,
I
to,
agree.
to, to put up with that for all those years and they still stick it out together, that's what it really looks like. It's not what's perpetuated or popular, but it's being with those person through the thick and the thin, grow into, like their dislikes and vice versa. Because that's what, if you just the will you got dislikes, they got some things that you do that they don't like about you either. But the love keeps it together. So I think that's a misconception. Like I said, my thing is a lot of people don't have that example. They hadn't saw that. So it's like, well, people quick to say, well, I'm breaking the generational curses. My mother, I came up and single parent, I see all this and that. But I'm like, twin, I want to talk to somebody that got 10 plus years in the game, to tell me the good, bad, and the ugly.
I agree. One of the counter arguments I hear to what you just said about this longevity in marriage, especially from women, and I know that I've been cursed out online for daring to go against the female cohort in this, but the idea, well, those women stayed married because they didn't have a choice. We can have our own bank accounts. We didn't have our own money. We didn't have this, we didn't have that. And those 60-year marriages, if you were to put them in today with, women being independent and having their own, they wouldn't stick together. Now, when you talk to married people who've actually done, like, been in the game, what are you finding that they're saying why they stay together? Because again, going back to the internet would make you believe that women only stayed married because we didn't have a choice. The government didn't have allow you to have your own bank account, that you didn't have the level of job. They weren't getting to the bag, as the ladies like to say. So women were almost trapped in marriage. But I don't, I've seen people who are married 40, 50 years. These women don't look like they're trapped in marriages. They look like they genuinely love their husband. So it's like, as someone who's counseling real married people and not looking at people on the internet, what are you hearing about why did we stick this thing through?
Hold on, just before you respond.
Go ahead.
So when you said, put those old marriages in today's society because now they have their bank accounts, they can work X, Y, Z.
That's what they say. That's what the lady said.
My question is, how's it working out for them right now?
That's what I was
They're
gonna say.
single. They're single. That's why I get cussed out, twin. Because I be asking those same questions in the comment section. Okay. Okay.
Because they can work. And mind you, and see, the problem is not because they can work now, which is not a problem. Like, work is not the issue. It's the fact that now that you're working, you got this now. That's where this masculine energy comes in now. This is where that masculine energy that we talk about. Because now you think, oh, I don't need a man now. Why I need you? I can pay my own bills. I can do this now. And that's the problem. Like, you can make money and still be feminine, but y'all making money now and doing this now. I'm like, I don't need no man. And that's why marriage's number is dropping down. Divorce is going through the roof because y'all what they say? Money is the root of all evil. Hello. It's proven. It's shown exactly why it's the root of all evil. It ain't infidelity, it ain't sex, it ain't having kids. It's money. While most of marriages are falling apart now. Financial stress. But go ahead, I'm done.
No, and before you answer, and this is why, again, I call BS on a lot of the things women say on the internet. I'm just going to speak from personal experience. Since being in a relationship, I have spent less money. My boyfriend, however, has spent more money. I barely pay for anything other than the roof that I live under, right? Like, I say something and my boyfriend has it handled. I will mention something, I go in my PayPal and he'll say how much was something, and 30 seconds later that money's in my account. I have spent less money being in a relationship where my boyfriend has spent more money. So this idea that, oh, we're so independent, we got our own. The reality is, even when we have our own, we don't spend it and we don't want to spend it. We're heavy on the we don't want to. Heavy on the I don't really want to spend my own money. So we talk a good game, but I think what has happened is women who are incapable of keeping a relationship together have found solace on the internet with other women incapable of keeping a relationship together. And before therapy, I was one of those women who was incapable of keeping a relationship together. I wrote about it in my book, No Handouts for Black Girl. Every week, y'all know I'm going to mention a book I've written. So in my book, No Handouts for Black Girl, I literally have and pardon me, Pastor Jeff, but I literally have a title that said, "You're single because you're a bitch," right? And there are a lot of women who, when they read it, they resonated it, because many of us are single not because we're not great women and quality women and are independent and intelligent. It's because we're bitches. And we're single because we think we know better. We can fix him. We can make you better. We can do this. We can do that. And a man's like, why do I want to be with you? You are a man. Oh, you have this energy that is repelling. And I said, a lot of us were acting as if we were grabbing men, but we were repelling them. And in so many ways, that is what has happened. Why marriages are not keeping together, because we are repelling the same men we want to attract unknowingly. unknowingly by putting out this, I'm strong, I'm independent, I don't need you. If your job said I don't need you, the moment I feel unvalued in a job, I start looking for another one.
Message.
I don't stick around to keep feeling unvalued. If I feel I deserve a raise and they say nope, no raise for you, just keep on working. You know what, you're doing a great job, but we have no more money for you. You go, oh, okay, so I'm gonna find a place that does have more money for me.
I don't think you understand how big of a message you just said there. We just said if you work for a company and you don't feel needed no more. Men need to feel needed in their marriages and relationships. That's
Facts.
that's what make us men. We got to fix something. We got to do something. We got to provide. We got to protect. If those things that we can't provide for you, why am I with you? You know what I'm saying? I need something. You know, that's the root of men. We have to. We're solution based, whatever it is. So that was a huge message there that you said, but I don't think they caught. Jeff caught it because he know. As men, we know this. That was a huge message right there.
That's why, and I'm gonna pass it back over to Jeff. That's why I always say the ladies, the tongue is a very powerful thing. The more you saying you don't need something, okay, the universe is gonna deliver. You're gonna get everything you want, but nothing that you need. Because you said you don't need it. You keep telling the universe, I don't need him, I don't need a man, I don't need this, all this stuff. And the universe said, okay, so he's going to give you what you want, but nothing that you need. And that happened to me for years. I got a lot of the things that I wanted, but none of the things that I really needed. And the things that I needed were the intangible things that were going to keep a relationship together. And this is why I even created this show from my own personal experience of saying to women, if you do not change who you are today, the man you want, you won't even recognize him when he shows up. The man you really need, you won't recognize him when he shows up because you're too busy and too focused doing the wrong thing. And you have already created in your mind that the relationship you want does not exist. Because you said, I don't need him, I don't want him, I'm fine on my own. Tyler Perry makes all the movies, I'm bad all by myself, and all of those things. And you keep saying that long enough, okay, cool. The universe says, here you go. Jeff, back over to you. I have to have a moment.
Hey, that was an awesome moment. You dropped some gems. Um, but like Twin said, we are. It's ingrained in us to provide and protect, and a lot of times, like even something simple is, like people want like the roles have switched, or everybody wants to be on the same playing field. Like, nah, like you said, women are expensive. When something goes wrong with my wife's car, hey, I got to handle that because if I send her to the mechanic, he's gonna come up with X, Y, and Z. Gonna come with this big old bill, and I know a little bit about cars. And when I go do it, it ain't as much. So little things like that make the difference. And if you screaming, I'm independent and all this and that, but what? Guess what? You working all these jobs, or you going to school, you got this degree, but what do you have time for peace? Only time you want to
Ooh,
find some peace is it's a girls trip or a night out with the brunches and the alcohol leads to bad decision and you know what I'm saying. So it's like, and the guy that you say you ain't looking for, you might end up meeting at the bar. So it's like, what are you really doing? So yeah, you and like I said, like Twin said, we're men and we don't feel needed or we don't feel like we don't have to provide and protect. Like, why am I here if you got it all figured out? And a lot of times, and I hate to sound misogynistic, but Shiba, you know how we are. But it's like, a lot of time women panic. They operate out of fear, and a lot of time men be like, okay, calm down, let's think this out and do X, Y, and Z, and we'll come out with a cheaper, better solution as opposed to you just reacting. I got to do this and get this, and then you end up overspending or being overcharged for something you just could have calmed down and thought about.
And I hate that as men, you guys have to keep using the term and not being misogynistic. But women have taken that term and twisted it because misogyny literally means the hatred of women. Men are allowed to have strong traditional values and opinions. And I think we need to get back to that because of the fact that men are no longer allowed in this society. And I'm going to speak like black women be butchering men about saying things that goes against this, city girl, whatever nonsense that's going on. I like a strong traditional man because a strong traditional man is a man who takes care of his home first and foremost. His woman is always taken care of. His children are always taken care of. His woman is at the most ultimate peace. So yes, ladies, please stop making men feel like they can't have an opinion without you feeling that they hate women. Are there some men that are sexist? Absolutely. My daddy would probably be considered sexist, right? Like he said, my purpose in life to be educated wasn't so that I could go out and find find a job. It was so I could be a helpmate to my husband. You go out, you get educated. Yeah, you can get a good job, wonderful, but you are now a helpmate to your husband. There are a lot of people like, oh my God, your daddy's a misogynist in today's society. No, my daddy was a traditionalist. Like
Right,
it's
but
just,
and I
I
and I
hate it. I hate this new world. I hate it.
I know, and I get what you were saying, but a lot of these females didn't come up with a father. They didn't see their mother with a steady relationship, so it's like used to seeing different men, so it's like no stability. So when you say that, like I said, I'm from a traditional family. I grew up on traditional values. So when you say that in this day and age, it's like, whoa, he's way over the top. Like, nah,
I hate it
that's
here.
how it's supposed to go.
I hate it here. Like, go on,
Yeah.
Twins. Like, I hate this new world.
Nah, I fully understand. And Jeff, everything you said so far tonight, you said nothing that's misogynistic. Nothing at all you said.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, you ain't got to preface that when you speak. You ain't got to say that because, like, see what just explained, it means to hate women. Clearly,
Right,
Literally.
clearly you're married. Clearly you don't hate women. You know what I'm saying? You,
right.
I mean, you may not like other women because you got your main one. So you know what I'm saying. I love mine. I hate the rest of y'all. Get out my face. I only I love mine right here though. But the point I'm trying to make is that you're not saying nothing. You don't have to preface saying I might sound misogynistic. You're not. Things are facts. Men are logic, women emotional. That has been there before the word misogynistic was even created. Just simple fact is there.
It's
So
also been proven, as someone with a psychology degree, that's actually also been proven through tests and trials and everything. It has been proven. And I think as women, if we're honest with ourselves, it is the truth. If I think about my relationship, the one I'm in currently and past ones, as logical as I can be, I am overrun by emotion. I'm supposed to be. That's what makes me the mother and you the father, right? Because I am supposed to be the nurturing, loving parent, right? Because the child comes from me, the child bonds to me. That's why men and women were created to be different. Like, and I think that the interesting part when you think about when you talk about people have fictionalized this concept of relationship and especially marriage, I'm finding that a lot of us as women want men who act like our girlfriends, but then we don't want that man to be sassy because that's the new term now that women are calling men, I guess, to mean that they are homosexual. But we want men in men's body to act like our best friends. But that's why we have best friends. Like if I want sensitivity and all of those things that I get from a woman, I go to my best friend. I may not get that warm and fuzzy stuff from my husband. I want him to be loving and kind and caring, but we've taken loving and kind and caring and put it in a female package and attach it to a man and then are saying, oh, well, my man doesn't care about me because he doesn't. It is a weird, again, I hate it here. Go ahead, Slim. I
it
hate
just
it
comes
here.
down to in this era that when women don't like to be held accountable, right?
Oh,
which
That is true.
that word might be a trigger word, whatever. It just
We realize. We
they
don't.
they just want to be married, right? They want to be in a relationship, but they don't want to be told what they can and can't do. I'm grown, you know what I'm saying? And it's not about controlling, but there has to be a foundation to have a structure in a relationship. It has to be structured. You just can't do.
Is it I'm frozen or twins is frozen? Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think twin froze.
Okay, because the last time I thought
All right, there we
it was
go.
frozen. Oh, there we go. You're back. Go
Yeah.
ahead. We here.
I will say is as a man and you being married in a relationship, you are responsible of your family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that men understand, that who are married and men who want to get married, you need to understand, regardless whatever happens internally with the family, it's all eyes on you and responsibility falls
That is
on you.
fine.
You know that. So regardless if I'm working, right, doing what I need to do, and she's not working, right, but for some reason we lose our house, it's going to be, Dwayne, what did you do? When she talked to her girlfriends, why Dwayne let you lose your house like that? XYZ.
Ooh,
Not
you would
that.
never lie.
Not that. What happened? How y'all lose y'all house? Were you working? Were you contributing? No, it doesn't. The world don't see what both of y'all do.
Listen.
If you're married, everything falls on the man.
Yep.
If he fails, the man fails. To get everything internally is going on, the man. That's the responsibility we take as men in marriages. Everything falls on us. So we have to have that guidance in the relationship. Hey, babe, I know you want to go on this trip, but we got to put this money to the side for a rainy day. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, I know you want this bag. You know what I'm saying? It's anniversary. Can't do it right now. Because if something happened over here, you get a flat tire, I can't be like, oh, babe, we got to wait until I get paid. No, I got to work. I got to go to work tomorrow. I can't wait 2 weeks or, next week to get paid to buy tires. I need the tire now. That's the stuff that we men have to make sure we have to be constantly focused on. If you have kids, when you have money put aside, sometimes for the kids, it's like we have to worry about everything and you.
You ain't never lied. Listen, I'm over here shaking my head because you ain't. That is not a lie. That is the reality of the differences between men and women. And I think we just need to be okay that we have differences and there's roles. And not to keep too much of your time, Jeff, but I'd be curious to know, you know, do you find that in the marriage people that you talk to who have had successful marriage, is there one common trait is there one common thing that they say as to why there's been longevity in their marriage?
I would have to say the communication and trust. Like Twin said, I think we talked about this a few months ago on a previous show about the lady that was uh going out to her friends about the guy that had this baseball collection. And it's like, why not? It's when she found out it was just stupid baseball cards until she found out how much it was worth. And so
Mm-hmm.
who knows what plans he had for that? Like that probably be enough to put his kids through college and so, but on the flip side, like women like to spend money, let's just be honest. And so it's like every time you get your hands on a few dollars, you want to get this bag or this dress or these nails, or like some of that right there, it can wait because like Twin said, like if something comes up, I gotta be able to respond right now. I can't I can't wait till the next pay period or God forbid have to go borrow it from somebody, because I'm a man and my household is my responsibility. So I'm supposed to have something to the side in case of a rainy day. Yeah, you might know it's over there and it hadn't rained yet, but that don't mean like, well, let's go take a
Right.
trip because I know you got this stash. So like, no, it's there for a reason.
And we don't have, I'm gonna tell you, we don't have the same thought pattern. We just don't. I'm not just, yes, we like to save. I'm not thinking about that at all.
Women like to live in the moment. They want to.
I sure do.
I want to.
Yep.
this. I want to go here. I want to live. Or God forbid they have single friends are having the best life. They're living their best life. That's probably the worst thing that I would say. If I can give advice to man, I'm gonna say that for the marriage tip. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it.
I save it.
I'm gonna save it. Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. But hey,
I good.
I'm gonna get ready to jump off real quick. I'm gonna catch the rest of it
All right,
in the
Jeff.
chat.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Jeff, so much. I really appreciate that. No, listen, you're so right, guys. I don't think about that. I don't, and it's not that I don't think about a rainy day. I clearly have money in my savings. If I have to pull stuff out, those are things I think about. But I think when we are in a relationship, our concerns are so very different. Like, I want to stay where I want to stay. Like, I don't want to think about the penny pinching. If I want to stay at the Fontainebleau in Vegas or Miami, that's where I want to stay.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
That's
I
where I want
agree.
to stay.
And what it is that women, y'all live in the now. Y'all right now with it. We are like, okay, in the future, we're forward thinkers. We're thinking about what if this happens, what that happened. Just like it's like walking down the street. The woman should be on your inside, right? You walk down the street
Absolutely,
and you all like,
absolutely.
la 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 la, it's sunny out here.
I was skipping in Miami. I told you.
You know what I mean? You here,
Skipping down the
girl.
street.
But as man, I'm watching every car go by, make sure no one's swerving. I'm watching people over there. I'm looking for exit. He looks suspect over there. You know what I'm saying? If I gotta throw her to the side, like I'm always in that mode of
That
okay,
is
what if something
okay.
happens? How I'm gonna make sure I do X, Y, Z. We're in survival mode 24/7 while you're in La La Land.
You know what's so sad? You know what's so sad? I find that some of the rhetoric that happens online from women are women who've never experienced that. That is something to experience. What you just said seems and sounds simple enough, but for women who've never experienced, that's where some of this venom comes from. I know what that is like. I know what that is like to have a man who, when we go into a hotel, I automatically know what side of the bed he's going to sleep on. Where's he going to sleep? The side closest to the door. I know exactly what seat I'm going to sit at the restaurant. Where am I going to sit? But where I'm not facing the door because he is facing the door. So if there's a chair here and a chair here and the door's behind, I know he's sitting here and he's pulling up my chair to sit there. It's not even a question. When we're walking down the street, don't I dare ever go on that side because he just takes his hand politely and moves me and puts me on the inside. There are some women who have never experienced that. And unfortunately, often those are the loudest voices on the internet talking about, I don't need a man because they've never experienced being with an intentional man. And
Message.
I'm sad for those women. I'm sad for them. And so when they call, I hear this whole, I've been called as you've heard it. I've been called a pick me, and they've been calling me a pick me since I started this show. And it's because the men pick me. But it is very sad when those are the women who have the loudest voices on the internet, and women start getting that rhetoric because there's the damage to black relationships. It isn't the fact that there are no good black men available for good black women. Is because the loudest voices on the internet are making us feel like that doesn't exist. And unfortunately, going back to what we were talking about, we can talk about relationships based on experience, but they're also talking about relationships based on experience. Their experience is just flawed. And you can have flaws, right? We've had flaws. We're divorced. People could say that we're completely flawed. A divorce is a flaw in a relationship. However, I don't think we've ever come on this show and spoken about relationships as a whole in a negative. We've spoken about the negative aspects of relationship. We've spoken about the positive aspects in a relationship. But again, I created this show to change the conversation around black relationships to lead people into marriage. But we also are competing with people with millions of followers or hundred thousands of followers who are talking about they ain't no good men out there and men ain't anything and the pool is this and all I want is like it is ridiculous the sentiment and I would challenge people because you can go on any channel you want including on this channel. I just say that if you have an opportunity and you challenge the people who are advocating that message. Ask them the pointed questions. Ask them, okay, tell me about your last successful relationship. What made it successful? Because I think that the thing is like, we always want to go to the negative. Let's talk about the successful relationship you had. Just because a relationship breaks up doesn't mean it wasn't a success. Because I believe in reason, season, and lifetime. I've had some very successful relationships, and in my case, it was always around babies because I didn't want any more children, and my partners did want to have children, and so we not on the same page. It didn't make the relationship not a success. It simply mean that we had different values, needs, and wants and desires at that time. But I think it's so quick for us to say, well, there are no good this and no good that, but it's based on our own personal experience. And when you started talking about that, I thought there's a lot of women who have no clue about what you just said, about that intentionality of a man who has to think about every single moment he's with his woman. My job is to protect her. Because women are out here giving our bodies to men who do, I keep saying, who do not give an F about us after they come, ladies. Stop doing that to us because we're doing that to ourselves. And so, when again, I'm going to go back to the topic, when you are listening to these people online who are giving you relationship advice, just use your discernment as to what you will listen to, whether it's some of the major ones, whether it's to shows like ours, maybe it's the shows that are smaller than ours. Just start using your discernment and say, I wonder where this advice is rooted. Is it rooted in a place of positivity or is it rooted in a place of negativity because they haven't experienced anything outside of toxicity? That's my thing for the day before we go into relationship advice. Jeff, if you're still there, Jack, if you're still there, I would love to get your relationship advice, but I know twins, you're holding on to one. So, what is your relationship advice for the night?
Yes, 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 yes. What were we talking about? We were talking about living in the moment in relationship, whatever, whatever.
Yes.
And it came to me. I'll say this, fellas that are in relationships are going to be in relationship to be married and is married. Um, your woman, your wife should not be have a friend that's single. That's number one. Single friends is a no-go. Not saying they can't single friends, but if they got that single friend who's always traveling, they getting bags, they going to games, they just have living the best life. They're getting all this fun things, they doing this, and they talking to your wife all the time, it's gonna cause conflict because she's telling your wife all the fun things she's doing and she's
Not the
single.
fun thing.
She's single, right? But you married and you can't do everything as you want. You ain't traveling, you ain't getting all the expensive bags, X, Y, Z. So you looking like, dang, my life is so boring. Cause then when you start doing, you start complaining to your dude about how come we can't travel? How come we can't do this? She over here doing this, not knowing that, yeah, you know what she gotta do for those trips, you know what she's doing, and how many people she gotta sleep with all the time, and X, Y, Z. During winter time and when it's like 30 degrees outside, she gotta have the heat on 200 because she ain't got no warm body lay next to. When she hears something go bump in the night, she lock herself in her room anytime to see until it's daytime to go see what's going on because she's scared. Yeah, like you gotta understand a lot comes with that. But what I'm saying that it can cause conflict in your marriage because now you keep hearing about what her girlfriend's doing this, and now y'all arguing about someone who's one don't know anything, don't even care about y'all, right? But because she's feeding your wife her hot girl summer and her getting flew out and all this, it seems enticing because we understand women get bored easily. Women like excitement. So yes, fellas, we do have to spice up a little bit as well, but having that single friend that does everything is gonna be bad for your relationship. So I'm not saying you gotta kick your friends out, but you gotta have some guidance there to, hey, I think it wouldn't be healthy if you keep hanging out with your single friend all the time. I'm talking to your single friend, not hanging out, just talking to him, because talking to your wife is going to influence her, and then all of a sudden now you have arguments and conversations about why she ain't doing this. So that's my marriage tip or a relationship tip. I'm done.
I'm going to counter your tip and do the opposite. I'm going to do it to the ladies. Ladies, don't marry men who you find are not going to give you the life that you want. So you start coveting other people's life. There's nothing worse than to covet somebody else's life, right? Like, marry the man who will be your best friend. Marry the man that you will have the most fun with. Marry the man today that if he never changed, you would still love him if he was the same person in 30 years. I think that is the advice that I think every woman needs to understand. Stop marrying the man that you think, if I just do this, he's going to be this man in 5 years or 10 years or 3 years. If your man never changes in the state that he's in when he asks you to marry him, if he never changes, what would you do? Hey, Monica, what would you do? And I think we need to think about that. I never want to marry someone and then covet someone else's life. I don't think that's the way to do. So when men do choose us, but ladies, we have the right to say yes or no, and stop saying yes to men whose life you're just going to ruin later by giving them a divorce because you were marrying them for potential, but you didn't actually love the man that he was in that moment. I wouldn't want no man to marry me for potential, waiting one day for me to change. How unfair of him. And we do that so much. So again, my advice, my relationship, my marriage advice would be marry the man who is your best friend. And if he never changed, that would be the man that you love until the end of the time. Because coveting somebody else's life, yeah, that's not the way to go. That's not the way to go.
Message.
So listen, that's all we got. Relationships are important. And again, we talk to the older folks. We are here for the late 30s, 40s, and the early 50s folks who really want it, especially us in our 40s here. Like, that's the sweet spot for me and twins in your late 30s and 40s. Like, this is, if you don't take relationships serious any other time, this is the time to take it serious, because people are actually dying alone. Like, alone. And I want to speak to us parents, and I'm going to speak directly to us as mothers, and I'm going to speak to us as unwed mothers or single mothers, or however you want to categorize yourself. Our children are not a backup plan for mistakes we make when we mismanage our vaginas. Your son is not your backup plan when you mismanage your vagina, and now your son isn't able to have his life because you need him to be your son husband. Your daughter doesn't get to feel guilty for going off and living her life with her husband, fiance, because you mismanage your vagina. We are to raise our children to be productive members of society, leave the nest, and go off and spread their wings. It is up to you, lady, to make sure you are making the right decision so you do not end up the person that somebody has to go do a welfare check on because you don't have anybody to lay with you at night who's going to make sure you are good. I am so serious about this. That has been my biggest fear in life, has been that one day I would die alone. It didn't matter how pretty I was. It didn't matter how this body was. It didn't matter how my head game was. All these things that we pride ourselves, girl, I'm going to be fine. Some of us are going to die alone. Do everything that you can do to avoid it, because I'm going to tell you, there are good, solid men. I have a co-host here who is a good, solid man, and I am blessed to have been chosen by an amazing, solid man. Do not be the woman who makes so many wrong decisions that you cannot finally make a good one and you die alone.
Mm. Mic drop. No comment. Mic drop.
So we are done. Monica, please join us next week. Join us. We always again have it pinned in the comment section. Monica, before you jump out, make sure that you like, share, subscribe. We are back every week to change the conversation around Black relationships. Monica is funny. We are here to change the conversation around Black relationships. And do not forget to get my new book series, Love Rules. Book 1 and 2 is currently on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and a few other places. But go to Amazon mostly to go grab my book. Book 3 will be out June the 1st. Also, go look out for No Handouts for Black Girls and the Sienna series, parts 1 through 6. Twins, final word.
Everything you just said. Go and get the book.
I think
Run up the numbers.
please run up their numbers. Okay, girl wants a royalty check.
That's reasonable. You spend more at Chick-fil-A. Get you a book.
That part. My book is only $7.99 for Love Rules. Now, No Handouts for Black Girls is $19.99 Canadian. I don't know how much it is US, but it's out there. Go look it up. No Handouts. Look up the Shiva Building and support a woman doing her thing. So have a good night, everyone. See you later. Bye.